Chapter 18. King David gathered all his soldiers, divided them into groups of 1,000 and groups of 100, and placed officers to command them. Then he sent them out in 3 groups, one commanded by Joab, another by Abishai, brother of Joab. Their mother was Zerubbabel, another by Ittai, from the city of Gath. And the king said to his men, "I also will go with you." "You must not go," they replied. "If we are forced to flee, or if the enemies kill half of our army, it will make no difference to them. But you are worth 10,000 of us. It is better that you stay here in the city and send us help." "I will do what you think best," the king answered. So he stood beside the gate, while his soldiers marched out in groups of 1,000 and of 100. The king gave this command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai: "For my sake, treat the young Absalom gently." And all the troops heard the king give this order to all the officers. David's army went out against the Israelites in the field and fought them in the forest of Ephraim. There the men of David defeated the Israelites, and the defeat was terrible. 20,000 men were killed that day. The battle spread throughout the whole region, and more men died in the forest than in the open field. Suddenly, Absalom met some of David's soldiers. He was riding a mule, and as he passed under a large oak tree, his head got caught in the branches. The mule kept going, and Absalom was left hanging in midair. One of David's men saw him and told Joab, "I saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree." "You saw him," Joab said. "Then why did you not kill him on the spot? I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a belt. Even if I were given 1,000 pieces of silver, I would not lift a hand against the king's son. We all heard the king order you, Abishai and Ittai. For my sake, treat the young Absalom gently. If I had disobeyed and killed Absalom, the king would know, for he knows everything, and you would not defend me." "I will not waste more time with you," Joab said. He took 3 spears and thrust them into Absalom's chest, while he was still alive, hanging in the oak. Then 10 of Joab's soldiers surrounded Absalom and finished killing him. Joab blew the trumpet to stop the fighting, and his troops stopped pursuing the Israelites and returned. They took Absalom's body, threw it into a deep pit in the forest, and piled a huge heap of stones over it. Then all the Israelites fled, each to his home. During his lifetime, Absalom had built for himself a monument in the king's valley, for he said, "I have no son to keep my name in remembrance." He named the monument after himself, and to this day it is called Absalom's monument. Then Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, said to Joab, "Let me run and give the king the news that the Lord has delivered him from his enemies." "No," Joab replied. "Today you will not carry any good news. Another day you may take news, but not today, because the king's son is dead." Then Joab said to a Cushite servant, "Go and tell the king what you have seen." The servant bowed before Joab and ran off, but Ahimaaz insisted, "Please, let me also run with the Cushite." "Why do you want to go, my son? You will get no reward for the news." "Whatever happens, I want to go." "Then run," Joab said. So Ahimaaz ran by way of the plain and outran the Cushite, who was sitting between the 2 gates of the city. The watchman went up to the roof of the gate by the wall, looked out, and saw a man running alone. He called out and told the king. "If he is alone," the king said, "he brings good news." And the runner kept coming closer. Then the watchman saw another man running alone and called to the gatekeeper. "Look, another man is running alone," the king said. "He also brings good news." The watchman said, "By the way he runs, the first looks like Ahimaaz son of Zadok." "He is a good man," the king said. "He comes with good news." Ahimaaz called out to the king, "All is well." He bowed before the king with his face to the ground and said, "Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delivered up the men who raised their hand against my lord the king." The king asked, "Is the young Absalom safe?" Ahimaaz answered, "When Joab sent the king's servant and me, I saw a great commotion, but I do not know what it was." The king said, "Step aside and wait." So he stepped aside and waited. Then the Cushite arrived and said, "My lord the king, hear the good news. Today the Lord has delivered you from all who rose up against you." The king asked the Cushite, "Is the young Absalom safe?" The Cushite answered, "May it happen to the enemies of my lord the king, and to all who rise up against you to harm you, as it has happened to the young man." The king was deeply moved. He went up to the room over the gateway and wept. As he went, he cried out, my son Absalom, Absalom, my son, if only I had died in your place. My son, Absalom. Chapter 19. They told Joab that the king was weeping and mourning because of Absalom. So that day, the joy of victory turned into sadness for all David's troops, because they heard that the king was grieving over the death of his son. They returned and entered the city in silence, like soldiers ashamed who flee from battle. The king had covered his face and was crying loudly, "Oh, my son, Absalom, Absalom, my son." Then Joab went to the king's house and said, "Today you have shamed your soldiers, those who saved your life, the lives of your sons and daughters, and the lives of your wives and concubines. You love those who hate you, and hate those who love you. You have shown that your officers and soldiers mean nothing to you. I see clearly that you would be pleased today if Absalom were alive and all of us were dead. Now go out and encourage your soldiers. You do not, I swear by the Lord that by tomorrow morning not one of them will remain with you. And that would be the worst disaster of your entire life." So the king got up and went to sit by the city gate. When the soldiers heard that he was there, they all gathered around him. Meanwhile, all the Israelites had fled, each to his home. Throughout the land they began to argue. They said, "The king rescued us from our enemies. He delivered us from the Philistines. But now he has fled from Absalom and left the country. We appointed Absalom to be our king, but he died in battle. So why not bring back King David?" David heard what the Israelites were saying. So he sent the priests Zadok and Abiathar to the leaders of Judah with this message: "Why should you be the last to bring the king back to his palace? You are my relatives, my own flesh and blood. Why should you be the last to bring me back?" David also told them to say to Amasa, "You are my kinsman. From now on you will be commander of the army in place of Joab. May God punish me severely if I do not do this." With these words David won the loyalty of all the men of Judah, and they sent word to him to return with all his officials. David returned and came to the Jordan River. The men of the tribe of Judah went to Gilgal to meet him and escort him across the river. At the same time, Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjaminite from Bahurim, hurried down with 1,000 men of Benjamin to meet King David. Also Ziba, who worked for Saul's family, came with his 15 sons and 20 servants. They arrived before the king crossed the Jordan and helped the king's household cross the river, doing whatever the king wished. As the king was about to cross, Shimei bowed down before him and said, "My lord the king, please forgive the wrong I did the day you left Jerusalem. Forget what I did. Do not think of it anymore. I know that I sinned, and that is why I am the first from the tribes of the north to come and meet you today." But Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said, "Shimei should die for cursing the king, for cursing the one whom the Lord chose." But David said to Abishai and his brother Joab, "What have I to do with you, sons of Zeruiah? Do you want to cause me trouble today? I am king of Israel now, and no one will be put to death this day." Then he said to Shimei, "You shall not die." And he swore it to him. Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, also came down to meet the king. He had not washed his feet, trimmed his beard, or washed his clothes from the day the king left Jerusalem until the day he returned victorious. When he arrived from Jerusalem to meet the king, David asked him, "Mephibosheth, why did you not go with me?" "My lord the king," he answered, "you know that I am lame. I told my servant to saddle my donkey so I could ride on it and go with you, but he betrayed me. He has slandered me before you. But you are like an angel of God, you know the truth. Do what seems best to you. All my grandfather's family deserved death, yet you allowed me to eat at your table, so I have no right to ask for anything more." The king said, "Say no more. I've decided that you and Ziba will divide Saul's property." Mephibosheth replied, "Let him take it all. It is enough for me that you have returned in peace to your home." Barzillai, from Regillim in Gilead, had also come down from his town to escort the king across the Jordan. He was very old, 80 years of age. He was very wealthy and had provided for the king while he stayed in Mahanaim. The king said to him, "Come with me to Jerusalem and I will take care of you." But Barzillai replied, "I will not live much longer. Why should I go with the king to Jerusalem? I am 80 years old. I no longer enjoy anything. I cannot taste what I eat or drink, and I can no longer hear the voices of singers. I would only be a burden to you. I do not deserve such a reward. I will go with you only a little way beyond the Jordan. Then let me return home and die near the tomb of my father and mother." But here's Kimham, my servant. Take him with you, and do for him whatever you think best." King said, "Kimham shall go with me, and I will do for him whatever you wish, and anything you ask of me, I will do for you." Then David and all his men crossed the Jordan. He kissed Barzillai, blessed him, and Barzillai returned home. The king crossed over with all the men of Judah and half the men of Israel. He went on to Gilgal, with Kimham by his side. Then all the Israelites came to the king and asked, "Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, taken it upon themselves to bring you and your household and your men across the Jordan?" The men of Judah answered, "We did it because the king is our relative." "Is that a reason for you to be angry? Has the king given us food or gifts?" The Israelites replied, "We have 10 times as much claim on King David as you do, even though he is your relative. Why did you treat us with contempt? We were the first to suggest bringing the king back." But the men of Judah spoke even more harshly than the men of Israel.